Where did your nickname come from, The Menace?
The Menace. So I went through a few nicknames at amateur, and like if you see me in terms of like my MMA, I do shit talk people a lot. Like I'm quite like vocal, and I'll get in people's heads a little bit.
What's something you're most grateful for today?
Yeah, grateful for the life I've had, to be honest. You know, like I said earlier, just getting to travel a lot as a kid. Always moving, and like never being stuck in the one place. Because I feel like when you're stuck in one place, you develop a mindset of like not. It's like a small town mindset, you know.
So anything you like doing except for MMA?
So yeah, I do a bit of juggling, like fire juggling and that. It's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, so like I do like shows for festivals and weddings and stuff like that to make a bit of spare coin. Obviously MMA doesn't really pay that well at the early stages, so yeah, I do like do some of that. It's quite meditative, you know what I mean?
This KidsKast, and I'm Nathan Jennings,
I'm Riley Goodwin. I'm Alfie Goodwin.
and this is Denis Frimpong, and he's originally from Ghana, but he moved to Ireland when he was young, and he's pursued the career of MMA fighting. Tell us a bit about yourself, Denis.
Yeah, so I mean, as you say, I'm not actually originally from Ghana. My dad's from Ghana. But yeah, I'm a bit of a mixed bag. My mum's Slovenian. Sort of moved around a lot as a kid. Moved to Canada and then ended up in Ireland when I was about 4 or 5. So you've been involved in sports a lot throughout my life, throughout my teen years and that. And yeah, just slowly but surely found my way into martial arts because just love to have a scrap, and figured it was better to find a legal way to do it than end up doing it, you know, out on the street and that. So
What was it like growing up in your childhood?
so yeah, as I said, you know, my childhood I moved around a lot. You know, it was like every 5 6 years we'd move. So it was a bit mad, to be honest. Like I didn't really like it. Because every time I had to move schools and all that, is, you know, sometimes you move school, you're the new kid, and obviously when I moved to Ireland, there wasn't a whole lot of like diversity, so I was like one of the only black kids in the school. Then I wasn't even really black, so I was mixed race, so I didn't really fit in with anyone. So yeah, as a result, I ended up getting in a lot of fights, just to sort of back myself up. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, you know, it was a bit mad, but looking back on it now, I appreciate the moving around a lot, because now I feel like I sort of can move through friends groups and I can move around, and when I go traveling, I'm not too anxious or anything about it. But yeah, didn't have a horrible childhood. You know what I mean? Didn't have like wasn't too mad, but definitely had its moments.
Was it difficult, like, growing up in a predominantly white community?
Wasn't horrible, but certain people definitely made it difficult. And you know, I just sort of took the approach of like, yeah, if I have to stand up for myself, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna get made a mug out of. So yeah, it was a bit difficult, you know. Especially like as you probably know, in Ireland, it's a majority Catholic country, so most of the schools are boys' schools or girls' schools. So I went to school with just all boys. So yeah, there was a lot of testosterone, a lot of like ego, a lot of macho shit. End up getting in a lot of fights as a result. But as I say, you know, helped me developed into the person I am now.
You said that you experienced racism and it led to a lot of fights. Did you notice that you were good at fighting and that's why you joined like gyms and that, or did you want to improve on it?
It was a bit of both, really. So yeah, I never really got done in too bad. You know, I was always able to hold my own a little bit. The issue was obviously being in a country where I didn't have a big family and that. Like I'm the oldest of all my siblings. I've got 3 younger sisters. And like a lot of the guys that would have picked fights with me had like older cousins, older brothers, all that kind of stuff. So I'd end up fighting one lad, baiting him, and then I'd have to fight his cousin who was a bit older, end up getting a bit of a beating, you know what I mean? Or like, you know, there'd be a brother that like done a bit of boxing or whatever. But even against them lads, I still sort of held me own. So then it was like seeing Conor McGregor then later on in life go on, become world champion. And like I sort of seen in him a lot of what I seen in some of the kids that would have been, you know, one of the guys that would get his brother or his cousin that done a bit of MMA or done a bit of boxing. And I thought, right, well, with no training, I was able to hold my own against these guys a little bit. So maybe with a bit of training, if he can go and be a world champion, I can definitely get in the UFC and get somewhere with it, you know. So it was definitely a bit of both. Wanted to like hone the skills and sort of the athleticism that I already had, and improve on that.
Would you say he's a good inspiration for you to start MMA?
Conor McGregor, yeah, obviously massive. I've been a fan of MMA since before I was training. I was a fan of like Anderson Silva, John Jones, these kind of guys, Chuck Liddell. But growing up, I always sort of thought it was a sport that was like for the Brazilians and the Americans. Like there was no MMA in Ireland. You know what I mean? Not that I knew of anyway. Obviously now it's massive from him and his success, but yeah, it was massive inspiration, I think, for seeing an Irish guy go on and do that, and like I say, going right. Well, if he can do it, then surely I can go and do it, or I can at least get to close enough to where he got to, maybe not as successful and big as him, but at least like even a percentage of it, you know what I mean? It's still some level of success, and as I say, I just enjoy having a scrap as well.
So would you say it's like it was hard trying to find a club or something for MMA?
Yeah, definitely. Before Connor made it, like I grew up in like a small town in Ireland. I didn't grow up in Dublin, and even now there's not really any MMA clubs there. So it wasn't until I actually moved to Dublin for uni, and then was sort of exposed to the possibility that there could be MMA gyms around. So yeah, I started a bit late in life. I started MMA. I started martial arts when I was like 21, 22 with jiu-jitsu, and then I only started MMA maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah, it was definitely hard finding a club at that time when I was a bit younger.
With your fighting career, has it took you to any places like around the world?
Yeah. So probably the most interesting was Abu Dhabi. So for my pro debut, which was in February, I got a fight in Abu Dhabi on UAE Warriors. They flew me out, all that, like got treated pretty well over there and stuff. Got to just see a different side of life, you know what I mean, how the other side live. The people that have all the money, you know what I mean, see how much money there really is in the world, and it's a bit of an inspiration as well, that. And then obviously I only came back about 2-3 weeks ago from Slovakia. Was filming a TV series, sort of like The Ultimate Fighter, where they had like a few fighters in a house. We all stayed in a villa, and we had to like fight each other, which was again a bit of a mad experience as well. You know what I mean, living with guys that you're going to be fighting, having breakfast and all at the same table as them and that. So yeah, it's I'm only at the start, and I've already got to have a few experiences like that, and I enjoy traveling. So hopefully, as it goes on, I'll get to see a few more interesting places. Yeah.
Did the racism ever get better or worse as you were growing up?
It definitely got it was definitely lessened as the time went. Like I moved to Ireland in 2001, so it was like at that time it wasn't really quite a diverse country. But yeah, as time has gone on, it's definitely improved. People have gotten a bit more used to having other cultures and other nationalities around. Like my sisters are all like a bit younger than me. So they're all teenagers now. So they had a very different sort of upbringing and a different experience of Ireland than I had, because they were all born in Ireland, and they all grew up around people of multiple different cultures, faiths, all that, nationalities. So yeah, I think it's definitely gotten better since. But yeah, I feel like it was nice to have had to have experienced that as well. You know what I mean? Like I say, it made me a bit thicker skinned, than I would have been if I'd grown up in a bit more of a soft era,
What was the first sport you loved, and why did you stop it?
First sport I loved, so I was always into sports. I sort of dabbled at every sport, done a bit of everything, football, tried a bit of GAA, basketball, all that. But the one that I really stuck with and the one that I really got into was track and field. Mainly just because I was fairly good at it and I had a lot of success with it. And I did it until I was about 18, 19. Went to uni, got a scholarship through it and stuff. Just stopped it because I kept getting some bad injuries through doing it, you know what I mean? And then through those injuries, it was hard coming back. And yeah, it just ended up going off the rails a little bit. You know what I mean? Found uni and partying and drinking and girls and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, just I was young, and I moved out when I was 17, moved down to uni when I was 17, so I was still a bit too. I think I was a bit too young, moving out of me family home, and then I just found that freedom. It was a bit, yeah, too much too soon kind of thing, and yeah, stopped it as a result of that. But again, I'm glad for the way things worked out, because I wouldn't have found MMA if it wasn't for that. What about you? So you into any sports then?
I've been doing boxing for about 2.5 years,
Yeah.
and been doing taekwondo for about around 8, I think.
Yeah, sick. 8 years, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And any taekwondo fights? Any?
Yeah, I've been fighting since I was like quite young. I've been to Ireland, I've
Yeah.
been to Holland. We were gonna go to Sweden, but then COVID hit.
Yeah.
But then we've still just been like around like the UK, like the national championship,
Yeah.
that I've competed in like Sheffield and that. And I'm competing in, like I'm training for this year's one,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be Manchester, I think.
Yeah. Cool.
And there's like little places like Barnsley's, and like
And if you win the nationals, then do you go abroad for any like Europeans or anything like that? No.
I don't know. We haven't done like an international one in a while, because we're just like it all kind of crashed when COVID hit.
Yeah.
Like we were doing a lot, but like I've been like wanting to do like an international one, because I like traveling.
Yeah.
And it's been like a good experience. We went to like Ireland and Holland with the team.
Cool. What about you, Sue?
Yeah, I used to play football when I was like much younger. Then I started rugby like 2 years ago. And I've stopped it now because I didn't really like it anymore. I don't really do anything now, so I'm trying to find something to do.
Yeah. You should get into the martial arts,
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I haven't really played sports in a while, but I am trying to see if I can find somewhere to do.
What I'd say is like jiu-jitsu is definitely like it's a good sport. You find like people of all walks of life, you know what I mean? You get everything from like a computer geek to like really athletic guy to like birds that would be doing it, you know what I mean? It's the kind of sport, it's almost like an art more than a sport, you know what I mean? That was why I got into it, you know what I mean? It wasn't like I didn't get into it for the sports aspect. I got into it for like the self-defense aspect and stuff like that, and then just as a result just it turned out I was pretty good at it and fell in love with it, and then just started training loads. So yeah, definitely you should give it a try anyway. Like anyone I've told to give it a try that's tried it has ended up loving it. No one's ever come back and said, nah, that was terrible, I hated it, you know what I mean? So give it a try. And then for you, I mean, you've got a bit of combat sports behind you, so would you ever think about like moving into MMA or anything like that?
I've thought about it, but I think I'm quite loyal to like my club
Is
that
it,
I've
yeah?
got now.
Yeah.
Like I've been with them since like most people like they'll go to like one club and need to try another one.
Yeah.
I've been there like since the start,
Yeah.
and like I know everyone there now.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, it can be a bit of a weird experience, like going to a new place, having to make new friends and all that, like, and get back in. It's a bit like even me, like I've been doing martial arts 7 years now, and when I go to a new gym, I'm still a bit like not intimidated, but still a bit like, oh, you know what I mean? Like it's a bit tense, you know what I mean? And it's a bit of a weird one, but yeah, I'd say obviously not saying like be disloyal to your club or anything like that, but yeah, try and branch out and do other things, you know what I mean? It'll never hurt you, you know. It probably improve your taekwondo anyway, doing a bit of like Muay Thai and a bit of different styles of kickboxing, karate, you know what I mean? You'll learn different ways to throw kicks, different ways to throw strikes and stuff like that, you know.
I think it's quite good for discipline as well.
Definitely, yeah. As I say, I lost the head a little bit after I stopped doing the running and ended up doing a bit of partying and stuff like that. So that definitely gave me like an avenue where I had something to focus on. Because I feel like that was why I was partying a lot, is that I didn't have any focus, I didn't have anything to drive me. So that definitely, yeah, it just kept me away from all the bad stuff in life, you know what I mean? And yeah, as I say, you end up in those situations and you get madness happens, you know what I mean, a lot of the time when alcohol and stuff like that's involved. So yeah, definitely say it does help with that.
With the racism, did that drive you as well to fight?
Yeah, not as much, I mean, I got into fights because of the racism, because I just had this whole mentality of like, yeah, if someone says something, I'm gonna throw the first punch. I'm not letting them throw the first punch, you know what I mean? So it wasn't particularly because of racism, it was because of the fights that resulted because of the racism, if that makes sense.
What was your biggest achievements progressing through MMA?
Biggest achievements so far. So yeah, amateur, I had a pretty successful amateur career. I won the UKFC light welterweight title and beat like a pretty good prospect. You know, he was 8-1 at the time. He'd never been finished. I think his one loss was a decision loss, and I ended up knocking him out in the second round. So that was like a big one. That sort of catapulted my career a little bit. And obviously going pro now. You know, I lost the amateur debut or the pro debut in Abu Dhabi. It was a split decision. A lot of people thought I won it, but it is what it is. And then obviously getting on this reality TV show, which will be out in September, I think. That was like, yeah, that's probably like the biggest success so far. So, yeah, as I say, I'm still early in it. You know, I'm still learning a lot, and you know, hopefully down the line we'll have bigger and bigger achievements.
Apart from all the fights in school that you've had and stuff, did you get into any more mischief?
Yeah, so obviously during the time that I was sort of a bit off the rails and partying a lot, I did get involved in some things I probably shouldn't have been doing, you know what I mean? It's like selling drugs and that kind of thing. As I say, you know, being at parties and with alcohol and drugs involved, a lot of the time people get tempers flared and stuff like that and get involved in fights on the street and whatnot. Obviously just hanging around with the wrong people as well, people that also weren't driven. So yeah, you know, like it didn't. I wasn't too heavy in it. You know what I mean? I wasn't like deep in that sort of side of things. But definitely got lucky in the sense that I never got too badly involved with the law. That was purely down to luck. It wasn't because I was like, you know, very smart about it or anything. You know, so yeah, definitely. Martial arts definitely helped me get out of that. Brought me that discipline, like you say. You know.
Have you got any more major future aspirations to do?
Yeah, I want to get a world title at some point in a major promotion. Doesn't have to be the UFC, but I'd like to get a UFC belt. But yeah, for me, it's just getting a world title. It's not even about money, you know. That will come with having a world title anyway. But just being able to get to be the best in the world at what I do, and be able to just tell my kids and my grandkids about it. You know what I mean, and you know, have something to show them and be like, yeah, I was the best in the world at that, and maybe inspire them to do something, you know, inspire other people from where I'm from, and other people in my sort of situation that are involved in that kind of stuff, people that might be a bit lost like I was, you know what I mean, in their life, in their youth, and hopefully get them to see that, like, you know, it's not forever. You can really turn your life around if you just put the work in, you know what I mean. And yeah, it's like once you're stuck in something, it doesn't mean that you're stuck in it forever. You can get out of it, you know.
How long have you been like amateur for, and like obviously turning into pro now?
So I made my amateur debut in August 2021, just towards the end of COVID and stuff like that. It was like sort of it wasn't closed doors, but I think there was only like 50 people allowed to be in the crowd. So it was quite a quiet event and stuff like that. Apologies. It was an outdoor event, that one, because of COVID. And then my second one was like a few weeks after that was an indoor one. So I've not been doing MMA that long, but obviously I was in the jiu-jitsu for a while, and during COVID then we were sort of training behind closed doors, like secret training, having to sneak in the gym and stuff like that. Started doing Muay Thai through that, and then obviously met another fella. He's a good mate of mine now. He's been on this podcast before, Shem. He sort of introduced me to the MMA side of grappling and whatnot, and yeah, just one thing led to another. But yeah, I'm not in MMA that long, not as long as a lot of people that are in it, you know. But yeah, that's the game, isn't it? Like, you know, you don't have to be doing it 10-15 years, you know what I mean? It's the kind of thing, like it's a fight at the end of the day, you know what I mean? An untrained person can still hit you a box and knock you out. So it's just about refining it and how much time you're willing to put into it, how many hours you're willing to spend on the mat, you know.
Was MMA your dream job, or did you have a different one growing up?
Growing up, mate, I think sort of like a lot of kids, I wanted to be a footballer, you know what I mean. But obviously it wasn't ever really amazing at football. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like I was never going to be a pro footballer. Going further back than that, as a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. Weirdly enough, just found it interesting about like going to space and stuff and getting to look at the planet from like an outside perspective. What about yourselves? Any dream jobs for yourselves now?
I want to be in the army when I'm older.
Yeah. What about you?
I want to be an actor.
An actor, yeah. Doing any acting classes or drama classes or anything like that?
Picking drama for GCSE, but I'm not in like an outdoor class.
Yeah. Look, what about yourself?
I'm not sure, yeah. I've got some fighting background. I could take that more seriously than I could lead to other stuff.
Whatever you want to do, you just have to sort of put time into it. It doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter when you start. I think Morgan Freeman only started acting when he was in his 40s or something, and now he's like one of the biggest actors in the world. So just, and things change as well, you know what I mean? I didn't think when I was 18 that I'd ever be involved in MMA. So things change as you get older and that, different situations in life. COVID happened, you know what I mean? No one expected COVID to happen. So yeah, just keep an open mind and just put the time into whatever you do choose, and you can achieve anything,
What advice would you give to kids who want to join martial arts?
Definitely just put the time in. Like I say, spend hours on the mat. Have an open mind, listen to your coach, try to avoid all the extra stuff in life, you know what I mean? And like when you do get into the gym, like everyone's got stuff going on in their life at home, in their friends groups, whatever. Just try and leave all that outside. When you come into the gym, just focus on the training, and you'll be happier as a result of it anyway, you know what I mean? It's sort of like an escape from all the other bullshit.
Yeah.
So you've like been around from different martial arts. Have you got like a particular favourite that you've done?
Yeah, I would say my favourite used to be jiu-jitsu, but since I knocked someone out, I definitely fell in love with striking a bit more. But now I just say like I just love MMA. You know what I mean? I love every aspect of it equally. Whether it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, boxing, you know what I mean? It all comes part of one. I love the fact that MMA is open. There's not really like a lot of rules, say, in terms of like there's not a lot of like things holding you back, you know what I mean? So you can kick the leg, you can kick there's a lot of things with other martial arts where you can't do this and you can't do that, you can't, you know what I mean? So I love that about MMA, that like it's a bit more open and you can express yourself a bit more freely.
Like there's a lot of versatility to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything you like doing except for MMA?
So yeah, I do a bit of juggling, like fire juggling and that. It's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, so like I do like shows for festivals and weddings and stuff like that to make a bit of spare coin. Obviously MMA doesn't really pay that well at the early stages, so yeah, I do like do some of that. It's quite meditative, you know what I mean? It's a bit of an adrenaline junkie, so performing with fire gets me going a little bit. But yeah, I like doing a bit of rock climbing as well. I feel like that's quite meditative as well. That just like generally just like physical stuff. I don't not really. I'm quite like a hyperactive person, so I don't really like sitting down and doing stuff. I get quite antsy and don't want to sit still for too long.
You want to get something that gives you like a buzz.
Yeah, exactly. Something that sort of gets me blood pumping a bit more.
What's the best thing about martial arts for you?
The best thing, my favorite thing about martial arts is just the community it brings. Like I can go anywhere in the world, any city in the world, and find some sort of a martial arts gym.
Yeah.
And generally, you go in there, and it's like no one in there could speak English. Like I say, I was in Brazil, went to train a bit of jiu-jitsu, and like the area I was in, no one spoke a word of English. But as soon as you step on the mat, you like clap hands, you start rolling. It's like a form of physical communication. It's like you can get to know someone within 5 minutes better than if you had a 2-hour conversation with them, because people can lie with their words, but they can't lie with their body, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like it's a lot of like reading body language, reading someone's energy, like physical energy, so that's probably my favorite part of it. And like you said, the community of just like being able to go anywhere in the world and make friends, do you know what I mean, through something.
Has there been like any person you could hear where you've just felt like quitting?
Yeah, recently enough actually. So as I say, after my pro debut, Obviously lost it. Felt like I got robbed. Had a bit of stuff going on in my life in general. Besides that, was a bit broke. You know, I was struggling to pay me rent and stuff like that. Like, which is, you know, obviously it's a bit rough. And yeah, honestly, I got to a stage where I felt like fucking it off and just going and getting a real job. You know, I had a good job before I took MMA full time, and I was good for money, and like I was like, right, I could just go back and get another office job and just do my normal life and just train on the side. You know what I mean, and not pursue it as a full career. But you know, obviously stuck to it, and you know, a few months later, then here we go. You know what I mean? I'm on a reality show and probably the biggest opportunity in my life. You know, so that's just another thing. It's just like, you know, stick to your guns, even when like life's gonna hit you with like combinations. It's never just one bad thing. You know, it's usually like a bad thing and then another bad thing and another bad thing and another bad thing in like a short space of time. And it can really feel like you're rock bottom, but you've just got to sort of ride that roller coaster, because then when good things happen, they come in bursts as well. You know what I mean? It'll be a good thing, a good thing, a good thing, and you can sort of build off that momentum, and you just have to ride that roller coaster. You know.
Are there any moments in your life you'd like to relive?
Yeah, there's a few moments from the childhood I definitely like to relive. Yeah, like I'm 28 now, so it's probably a bit, you know, a bit out of the way for you. It's like like being 14, I couldn't imagine myself as a 28-year-old. Do you know what I mean? When I was 14, but I'd say yeah, just definitely enjoy being a kid. Do you know what I mean? Because there'd be a point where you'd be an adult, you'd be like paying rent, paying bills, paying tax. You know what I mean? And you'll be looking back at the years you're having now, and you're just like summertime, just being able to go out with your mates and just hang out with your mates and kick a bit of a football on the street and stuff like that, and you'll miss those times. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely moments like that I miss. You know, just the carefreeness of it, and not having to worry about anything really. You know.
What are 3 things you can't live without?
So yeah, martial arts is definitely one of them. Birds, can't live with them, can't live without them. And then burgers, mate. I fucking love burgers. I love a good burger. You know. What about yourselves? Anything you just can't live without? No.
Probably my phone.
Your phone. See, I've lived without a phone. I only got a phone when I was 13. I think for the first time. They weren't big when I was young, but what about you?
Probably the internet.
The internet, yeah. It's another thing again. Like I think when I was young, we'd no Wi-Fi. It was like dial-up connection. You don't remember that? It's like if someone answered the home phone, you probably don't even know what a home phone is. But yeah, there was like, you used to have a house phone. Like if you're on the internet connected and someone answered the home phone, it'd just disconnect the whole internet. Like imagine. So, what about yourself?
Probably my phone.
Yeah.
My bike. I love going out with my mates.
Yeah.
And I've got probably me lizards.
Lizard, yeah. What kind of lizard is it?
Bearded dragon.
Bearded dragon, yeah. How old is it? They live quite old then, don't they?
But it's about like 13ish years.
Yeah.
I've had him, I think I got him 2 years ago and he was like a couple of weeks old.
Yeah, nice, no? So what, mostly phones then, is it for you? I could definitely live without my phone. When I was on that show, they took our phones off us for like, they'd only give us our phone for like 2 or 3 hours a day. So it's a bit of a detox from the Instagram and the Facebook and all that other stuff, you know what I mean? But yeah, I reckon like I'd be fine without a phone. Me, maybe a bit disconnected from the world, but like sometimes it's good to be disconnected, you know.
Has there been any like big names that you trained with?
Yeah, I trained quite a bit with Lerone Murphy. He's in the UFC. Kane Musa, he's a big Bellator fighter. You might have known about him. I've never trained with Paddy, but I've trained in the same session that he was in, and we obviously had a bit of a chat and stuff like that. But I've never actually like trained with him. And then obviously Shem, you know what I mean? He's not like massive like the rest of them, but like he's getting there, you know what I mean? He's quite known in Liverpool and stuff like that. So yeah, like I say, you know, it's a kind of sport, like, you know, if you do football, like you could never really just like go to Cristiano Ronaldo and be like, you know, unless he trained for his team, you could never like just go kick a ball about with Cristiano Ronaldo. Whereas like with MMA, you could just go to that person's gym and like you could probably share the mat with them and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's nice in that kind of way. No one's really like, I lie. Some people are a bit like, oh, I'm too big to train with these guys. You know what I mean? But like most people are fairly sound and they'll train with anyone. You know what I mean?
What would you be doing if you never started martial arts?
If I never started martial arts, I'd probably probably be in prison, mate, to be honest. Prison or maybe dead, to be honest with you. Because like I say, you know, martial arts definitely saved me life in that way. Brought me out of all that bad shit that I was at. And like gave me sort of purpose in that. And then as a result, it helped everything else in my life as well. You know what I mean? Because it made me go, right, well, I need to have money to be able to train, pay me gym fees, buy me gi for the jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean, pay to do tournaments and stuff like that. So I needed money, right? How do I get money, right? I'll get a job, do you know what I mean? And that like just helped me in everything else in life as well. So I probably wouldn't even, like if I hadn't started martial arts, I probably wouldn't have even had the awareness to actually go and sort myself out with like qualifications and get a job and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely wouldn't be into anything good anyway.
Is there something you wish you were taught when you were younger?
Wish I started martial arts younger, to be honest. And like I wish I was told that like you can learn how to do anything. Everything is a skill, you know. Like people think that, you know, the best singers, people that can sing, people that can rap, that they just are talented at that. But that's a skill that they've gone and put hours and hours and hours into. They didn't start off good. Some people obviously have a bit more talent and some people have like a natural voice or whatever. But you can still, like, even if you've no voice, you can still like train an hour a day, just 1 hour a day, every day, and you'll get good at it, you know, no matter what it is. Like I didn't know how to juggle. I was terrible at juggling, never thought I'd be able to juggle. And then I was just taught the basics, like the first little bit, put like an hour a day into it, and then over the course of a year now you're juggling and you're doing all stuff that like you never would have thought you'd be able to do. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with martial arts. It's the same with anything, any skill you can name out there. You can learn it, you know. And I wish I was told that as a kid more.
When you first started martial arts, did you have any like unsupportive reactions? Like I know some people think like fighting's not the way.
Yeah, like a lot of people, like a lot of that group that I hung out with that we'd be going partying and taking drugs with, were like, you're too old to start martial arts, you know what I mean? You'll never get to the UFC. I think I was like 22 at that time, you know. It's too late for you to start. A lot of naysayers, you know, but I feel like with that, people project their own insecurities, you know. They think that they could never do it, so they tell you that you could never do it. Obviously, my parents as well, like, you know, my mum didn't want to see me getting punched in the face for money. She didn't want to see me punching people in the face for money. A lot of people have this view of martial arts that it's quite brutal and it's like sort of for, you know, savages basically. But yeah, you know, you just gotta prove them wrong, you know what I mean? And that's a big part of my motivation, is to prove all those people wrong and you know, show them that you can do it, and you just have to put the work in.
Have you got any upcoming fights?
Yeah, so I've got a fight, I believe I'll be fighting in November in Manchester in the AO Arena, so that'll probably be my biggest fight to date. And yeah, like that's that. Up until then, I'm pretty much just training. I just started my camp now last week. Bit of a long camp, but yeah, that's the one.
If you could go to one country in the world, where would it be and why?
I've always wanted to go to Thailand, but I think I will be going to Thailand anyway. But I'd love to go to Japan. Japan, big anime fan, you know. So I've always wanted to go to Japan and just like sort of see how far ahead they are. I think like in terms of technology and stuff like that and everything, they're just miles ahead of everyone. It's Tokyo is meant to be like a proper bustling city and stuff like that. But like it's quite expensive and stuff like that as well. So maybe when I get a bit more money, I'll probably go. What about yourselves? Anywhere you want to go to? I know you said you were into traveling and that, yeah.
I think I like to see the pyramids. I'm big on my history and that. I'd love to see the pyramids. I think I would like to go to Brazil.
Yeah.
It's got like good nature and like there, and then
good birds as well.
and then Japan would be a good one.
Yeah.
It's like loads of like the art ahead and there's like loads of things that they've got there that we don't have here.
Yeah, loads of history as well. The samurai and that, like loads of like, and they're quite in tune with the history as well. They're not like too removed from it. Yeah. What about you?
Probably like to go to Greece, just like the natural beauty.
Yeah.
Or like Africa, like for the culture and stuff, see what it's like.
Whereabouts in Africa would you go?
I'm not sure.
No, it's a big place, you know,
Yeah.
Africa. So a lot of different places. Like Egypt's in Africa as well, but like Egypt's very different to South Africa and
Yeah.
Nigeria. You know what I mean? But yeah, interesting one. What about you?
Like probably like want to go to like, Australia or something.
Yeah.
Because I know they've got like good beaches and all that.
Yeah, chase a few kangaroos and that. Yeah.
And probably go like to Turkey or something.
Yeah.
There's everyone's like going there now. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, everyone's going to get their teeth and their hair done, mate. I don't think you have that problem. You'll be all right. Your hairline's still fresh.
Who are some of your biggest supporters in your career?
Good supporters. Obviously, all my sponsors that like sort of help me out and stuff like that. Like without them, probably would have to still have a part-time job at least. You know what I mean? Keep me going. You know, my family are quite supportive now. Now that I've started like getting somewhere with the career, you know what I mean? They've come along a little bit. And obviously, you know, my two best mates, they're just like they're at most of my fights. You know what I mean? When they can get there, they get there. Shem's a massive supporter of me as well. You know, he's the one that got me into it. He's a big inspiration for me as well, and you know, he's always there helping me out, giving me any sort of help I need. You know, so those would be the main people.
What's something you're most grateful for today?
Yeah, grateful for the life I've had, to be honest. You know, like I said earlier, just getting to travel a lot as a kid. Always moving and like never being stuck in the one place. Because I feel like when you're stuck in one place, you develop a mindset of like it's like a small town mindset. You know, you probably see it with yourselves. You know, people that like grow up in one place and they move like down the road from their mum, and then they just live there and they never leave and they just stay there. You know what I mean? And that's your life then. You know what I mean? It was like obviously you just want to travel around and stuff like that. Like, you know, I think that's the biggest thing in life is to travel, you know, get to see every part of the world, you know, like we live in a time now where maximum it only takes like 10-12 hours to fly to any other part of the world. You know, before if you wanted to go Australia, mate, you were never coming back. Do you know what I mean? It was 4 or 5 years on a boat, you know, to get to Australia, and that was it. Like you were gone, you know, it disappeared. So yeah, definitely like go see other parts of the world, meet different people, different cultures and stuff like that. So yeah, that's probably what I'm most grateful for in my life, definitely.
If there was a message you would give to young people in society, what would it be?
Don't listen to people that try and naysay, you know, like people that try and tell you can't do this or you can't do that. You know, like I as I say, I got it a lot. You know, I loved singing when I was a kid. I'd always be told like, oh, you can't sing. You know what I mean? It's like such a negative view on things. Like instead of saying like, you know, would you not take singing classes or whatever, like, you know, it doesn't have to be singing, it can be anything. Just don't listen to naysayers, you know, like you can do anything, you know, and anything you want to do, you just have to apply yourself to it, and you know, it becomes easier as you do it. You know, nothing's ever easy at the start, it's always hard, you know. So you just apply yourself to whatever you want to do, you know, whether that's like, you know, I want to be a bleeding professional bowler, you know what I mean, just find a bowling alley and go practice. Like I say, do an hour a day, more if possible if you've got the time, and you'll become good at it no matter what. So yeah.
You mentioned you've got some sponsors. Who are they?
So I've got Yannick McGee. He does me nutrition. You know, he helps me out with anything for weight cuts and stuff like that, and on my diets and stuff like that. I've got Shifa Rehabilitation. He gives me like my massages, you know, a bit of chiropractic, chiropractitioning, helps me out with any sort of injuries or niggles I have. I've got Oosh giveaways. They give me a bit of money for camps and stuff like that. Like camps can be a bit expensive, you know what I mean. I've got Reggie. He's my strength and conditioning coach. Yeah, and then a few little other ones. Pound for Pound Performance. He sorts me out with like gear, any sort of gear I need. You know, gloves, shin pads, training tops, training shorts, and all that. So yeah, without, like as I say, without them, like I'd be even more broke than I am now.
As you were moving from country to country, I'm presuming you had friends and stuff. Was it hard to leave them behind?
Yeah, lost contact with a lot of friends. You know what I mean. Some I've stayed in contact with through the years. But what you find is as you get older as well, and people are adults, then they start moving off. Like, you know what I mean. People have their own lives, don't they? So they end up moving off, finding a bird, getting married, having kids, and then you know. At this point, like even with me two best mates, they only live in Harrogate. You know what I mean. So it's not too far. But like they would have been my mates since we're like 13, 14. And I only get to see them once every couple of months. Do you know what I mean? Because they've got kids and families themselves. So yeah, it's less so now that I worry about that. But yeah, as a kid, it was definitely tough. Like I say, being the new kid and then having to make a whole new group of friends and stuff like that. And yeah, it was tough, definitely. But as I say, it helped me become better at meeting new people and not being too like now I'll go to New York or whatever, and I'll be able to just chat to anyone. Do you know what I mean? So
How have the setbacks in your life turned you into the person you are now?
yeah, just develop your versatility and your ability to sort of roll with the punches. Like I say, with the punches life throws at you, make you a stronger person and have thicker skin to get through these sort of things. Because life's never just easy. It's never just a flat, even road. Because if it was always good, you wouldn't appreciate the good. It'd just become like a monotonous sort of just boringness. You know what I mean? You need those sort of down parts in life to make you appreciate when things are going well. It'd be like like I don't know. I love burgers. But sure, if I had to eat burgers for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'd probably start hating burgers. Do you know what I mean? Like after about 2-3 days, mate. So it's like eating all the other stuff and then like having a burger once in a while, or like after a fight, having a big burger. You know what I mean? That's what makes you appreciate that. So that's the same as setbacks. I feel like setbacks make you appreciate when things are going well. Then
Since you've started martial arts, I think it's got like a better name and like image.
Yeah, I mean, I started after like Conor McGregor sort of got big. So by that stage, people already sort of realised that it was a way to make money and it was a way to sort of get out of their situation. But even since then, yeah, it's gotten a bit more recognised, and there's different things like the IMAF has started, and they've started doing like amateur worlds and European titles and stuff like that, championships. A bit more governance has come into it, so they've brought a bit more uniformity to the rules, and people are starting to like. It's still a growing sport. It's only 30 years old, MMA. It's not like it was back in the day where it was just some guy coming out of a pub and having a knock in a cage. You know what I mean? And people sort of viewed it as human cockfighting. Some senators said. It's now legal in Canada. It's legal in France, where it's been illegal for years, and I think people are really coming on board with it. Yeah. So now like people don't just look at you weird. They still do a little bit, but people don't look at you as funny as they did before when you say you're an MMA fighter.
Have you had any like seriously bad injuries growing up?
Growing up, nothing too crazy, definitely. Compared to like some of the stuff I've seen. But obviously, as I say, from track and field, I got a pretty bad knee injury. That stopped me doing track and field in the first place, and then sent me down a bit of a spiral, but nothing too major, touch wood now. But yeah, I've managed to avoid it. Never broken a bone, so it's all been sort of like little ligament injuries or stuff like that. Thankfully,
Where did your nickname come from, The Menace?
The Menace. So I went through a few nicknames at amateur, and like if you see me in terms of like my MMA, I do shit talk people a lot. Like I'm quite like vocal, and I'll get in people's heads a little bit. Even just in the gym with my teammates and with my mates, you know what I mean. I'm quite like, yeah, I get in people's heads a little bit. I tease people quite a lot. Obviously rhymes with Dennis, you know what I mean. And I didn't want it to be The Menace in the first place because I thought it was a bit like it's a bit cliche, that, you know what I mean. But yeah, just the way it worked out, and just before that that fight with the fella that I knocked out for the UKFC title, like I terrorized him for like 2 months, mate, daily on Instagram, and people were saying, "Oh, you're a menace, you're a menace, you're a menace." And then after I knocked him out, then it just stuck. That's it now. Yeah, I'm stuck with it now.
Thanks for coming on the podcast. Good luck in the future and with your fights and stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, lads, and yeah, best of luck in whatever endeavours you decide to go down. Hopefully, see you on the mats at some point. Maybe train. I might pop down to your taekwondo gym, learn a few spinning kicks as well one of the days. And yeah, it was nice to have a chat with you and that, lads. Yeah, these are natural interviewers, so maybe that might be a career for when he's in the future.